I'm the Drink Pro, and today I'm drinking Method and Madness single grain whiskey. Method and Madness. This is a micro distillery within a distillery. It's actually on the Jameson property. But Jameson has totally separated themselves from their distillery, and they've given them free creative reign to do with the whiskeys what they will. They've really come up with some interesting pours. They're kind of hard to find, I won't lie to you. If you're international, you'll find this more easily than if you're in the States, but if you find it, buy it wherever you are, because it's fantastic, it's an interesting product, and they're really trying new things. I love seeing big brands supporting little guys trying new things, because a lot of times people feel like big brands are disingenuous, they don't really care about their products, they're just trying to pump it out and make money, and this really, to me, says Jameson cares about what they're making, and they're trying to push the boundaries. And they're not afraid to put a lot of money in something that won't be particularly profitable, not compared to regular Jameson at least, but will be really exploring what whiskey can be. So, without further ado, let's put some of this in a glass and drink it. Method and Madness has different blends, different expressions, different presentations. This is their single grain whiskey. This is an Irish whiskey that's been matured in bourbon barrels, and then it's finished in virgin Spanish oak casks. Most of the time, whiskeys that are from other places besides the United States are not going to be in virgin oak. Side note, this is also non-chill filtered, but it's at 46%. I don't see any sediment in it, but there could be sediment in it. That's kind of surprising to me that they were able to do that. So that's worth exploring. I don't know enough about this particular product to understand how they were able to make a non-chill filtered product at 46% that didn't separate, but we'll leave that aside for now. Let's focus on the fact that there are tasting notes in the back that I'm not going to tell you yet. I'm going to see if I find them organically. I haven't read them for some time. If I find them, I'm going to be happy with myself. If I don't, who cares? I'm still drinking whiskey, right guys? So let's check the nose on this whiskey. Whoa, this is way sharper than anything I've done so far. It's got a real wicked new make smell. If you've ever smelled grain alcohol, this has got a lot of that in it. The woodiness, fresh cut pine or something. But it's subtle, and that new make just doesn't go away. You definitely get that alcohol burn on the nose. There's some fruitiness in here. I'm not sure what it is. My brain is telling me apricots, but I kind of think I might be remembering from the label, even though I didn't read it. We'll see. If it is apricots, I didn't come up with that. That was some bullshit remembered from the past. It's also got a saltiness to it. Some of the Scotches and Irish whiskeys will have a brine characteristic. That's not very common in American whiskeys, but you see it a lot in Irish and particularly in Scotch. That brininess can be really sought after, or it can be really maligned. Depends on who you talk to. But there's definitely a hint of that in this. Let's give this a taste. I really like this on the palate more than I like this on the nose. It's very soft, sweet. You get that vanilla in the finish. You get some nuttiness, I would say. God, what is that? There's a vegetal quality. It's definitely herbal and rich. Oh, there's a sweetness in the mid palate, like a honey. There's a honey citrus mid palate, maybe a lemon zest. And then the finish is soft. You get hints of the barrel, but it's very quiet. For something that's in new oak, I would expect it to be sweeter. I would expect it to be more barrel forward, more woody, more tannins. The new oak really soaks in the whiskey and gives you a lot stronger flavors, but I'm not really getting that here. There's something undoubtedly Irish about it. I've never been able to point this out, but there's a quality in Irish whiskey that I can't put my finger on. If you know what it is, please put it in the comments and help save me from this. But any Irish whiskey I taste, I get this, I guess it's metallic. The sharpness is very prominent in the mid palate on this one. And it makes me remember that this is not a bourbon, even though it's got a lot of bourbon traits. Sweet, maybe even floral. I said vegetal before and was focusing on the herbs. It's got a floral, maybe like a rose petal in the palate. The finish is very soft for me, though. It's a little earthy. It's a little woody, but it's pretty quiet. Let's find out if the notes that they give are the same notes that I gave. On the nose, new pencil shavings. That's that oakiness I was talking about. Light rose petal. I noticed that there was sort of a vegetal note, but I was focusing more on citrus and I was getting more sweetness. And then on the nose, fresh rain on pine. I definitely called the pine, and I think the rain was probably my I was interpreting that as the seawater, the brininess. When you're drinking whiskey, you're gonna have different tasting notes than what you read online. You're gonna have different tasting notes than what your friends say or what other professionals say. Don't get intimidated by that. The taste and the nose of a whiskey is subjective. There's no other way to put it. The best thing you can do is find somebody whose palate you either agree with and you find the same notes, or that you like what they like and you find their notes interesting if they're not particularly aligned with your own. I think however you go about it, talking with these people, understanding what they like, and comparing it to your own notes, picking all those notes and compiling them together is a great way to find what you like, find what you don't like, and explore without breaking the bank, which is what I'm all about here. On the taste, warm toasted oak. I definitely got that woodiness. It says fresh peeled grapefruit. I'm surprised to say grapefruit. I don't usually eat grapefruit, but usually I think of it as a more citrusy fruit than the notes I was getting. And then it says zesty wood spices. There's definitely a lot of woodiness in this. It's not powerful. I was reading it as more of a vegetable quality because it was so subtle. I usually expect wood to really punch me in the face, and this wood was very gentle, and so I think I was reading it more as a vegetable quality, or an herb, something like that, that wasn't quite as robust. The finish on this is sweet cereal, clove, spice, and fresh mint. I didn't get any of those. Maybe because I've been drinking already. Maybe because I wasn't paying attention and thinking about those kind of notes in the finish. Typically, those are notes that you would expect early or mid-palate before you let the tastes linger. So I'm going to try this again and see if I can't pick some of that out. So the woodiness shows up earlier. I see what they're talking about. There's definitely a woodiness in the initial taste and in the mid-palate. I don't get the grapefruit, though. On the finish, I do get the mint. I don't really get the clove, but I usually see clove as like an aggressive flavor in bourbons. I think this might be a more subtle clove hiding behind the mint kind of situation. There's no cereal in this. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. That's a bad note. Go get some bourbons. I'll show you cereal notes. This is not cereal. It might be bready, but it's not cereal. I could sit here and do this all day. Method and Madness. This is the single grain expression, but I know there are others. I highly recommend it because they're doing very interesting things. You saw how much my opinion of this changed. Don't be afraid to take a leap of faith, because when I first nosed this, I was not happy. It was very sharp, it was very alcoholic, it was very fresh and new makey, and not things I want from a whiskey. But as I let it sit, as I kind of sat there and lived with it, my mind's very changed now. I could sit there and drink this all night at this point because I found the things that I like in it. And a big part of whiskey exploration is figuring out what you like and figuring out how to enjoy different pours. This is not a pour that I would be able to drink absent-mindedly. This is something I would have to focus on, maybe to drink by a campfire or on a warm night by a lake, something very contemplative where you're sitting there and just being present and in the moment. This is not your game night whiskey. This is more of a contemplative pour, and I kind of like that sometimes. So I'm going to go do just that and contemplate. And while I do, I hope you keep drinking like a professional. Cheers.